My name is Tekla Gedeon.
And I'm Sebastian Kshanes.
Together we founded a creative practice called Fuzzy Earth. We are interested in exploring our relationship with nature and technology. We use speculative design methodologies to question the role of botanical institutions and environmental infrastructures, and we are based in Budapest.
You've probably never heard my real voice. You've never really listened before. You only thought about me as a food that can be purchased in supermarkets.
Bell peppers are approximately produced in Hungary for 100 years. Hence, it is so connected to the culture. It is so part of the Hungarian cuisine. It is a national symbol as well, not only the spice, but some of the bell peppers as well. So we get quite fascinated how can plants shape national identities and personal identities. People have a lot of memories and connection to bell pepper. So we thought it's an interesting topic to take on if we talk about environment, ecological problems and food production. So this is, I think, how it started, and through the last 2 years we decided to focus our attention on the production of the food, so on greenhouse infrastructure specifically. And through our visits we created different research aspects.
In your mind, we are just colorful boxes of nutritions and vitamins, with sometimes more and sometimes less taste. We are often presented as objectified vegetables with no self-awareness or right to think. You love to cover my fruits in plastic and exhibit them with their rainbow-colored skins on endless shelves. But now it is different. Now you are my guest and my conservatory.
Bell peppers grow hanging, so they are disconnected from the soil, disconnected from the nature in the soil and the water, the rainwater, all of it. It's all artificially kind of nurtured. So we were interested in this title to allow people to enter the hanging gardens of greenhouses. And in this exhibition we were focusing, or in this project, we focused our attention on care systems of greenhouse environments and the sounds of the care. Like, how can we capture care system through sound? We visited different greenhouses and did sound recordings of watering systems, fans, bees, and birds. We decided to narrow down these kind of different elements of a greenhouse in order to be able to bring it into A4. It is also very usual structure of a carpet to have like kind of 4 storyline with different animals and plants drawn out. And we decided to kind of go symbolic and have 4 different symbols. And 4 different symbols enable 4 different sounds: birds, bees, the fan, and a cherry picker, which is this kind of machine that enables the workers to pick the bell peppers even when they are really high. So you can find these sounds and these symbols on the carpet. These events also help us to test like the way we communicate as artists. That's why we kind of like to engage with aesthetics of pop culture, using colors and mediums that are more accessible, such as the carpet itself. Like, everyone understands how to relate to a carpet. a lot of us have memories as a child of sitting on Persian carpets and exploring secret gardens or different kind of narratives of birds and plants and water that often appears in a Persian carpet. And we want to kind of reach back to these memories and bring them out through our work, but in a new contemporary way.
We are all part of an engineered ecosystem, like insects, UV rays, and pressure valves. Everything has its place and purpose. We all work together, coexist and co-create. I feel comfortable here and ready to spread my seeds. Below is warm. Above is humid. The fifth sun just above me shines when no other light is up in the sky. The one who makes things sprout waters me even when outside is dry. I depend on them. They depend on me. Our relationship is constantly monitored and recorded. Just have a look at the server tower. Every moment of my existence is analyzed. All my needs for nutrition, humidity, light, and temperature are displayed just next to your needs for production, geometry, color, and taste. You follow the development of all of my bots through the server. I realized that you hardly ever visit me anymore. You send harvesting machines, watering pumps, and humidifiers instead. I learned to love my digital guardians. They became my kin. You started to acknowledge them. You integrated them into your language and your culture.
This whole discussion around the current emergency or the crisis we are living in, it's really painted black or white or black and white by the media and by the commentators, and it's not so simple. That's the answer, and you cannot just live with it or without it. And this whole technology, this whole system or this infrastructure, what we build around us, we somehow need that. But the question is, how do we need it? How do we transform it? And I think we have a lot of these questions of like, how do we want to live? How do we want to eat? What environment? And how do we want to lead our discussions or arguments with other people? We are searching, I think, most of the time, we are searching for some sort of a narrative or some, I might say, mythology, a kind of mythology which was lost on the way, but in the beginning of the times helped us to understand or to feel with or to care for something. And I think we try with our artworks and our projects, what we do, we try to establish a sort of our own mythology again and to establish a system of care again.
It was an act of control. You replaced the ground with a cube of fibers, a lifeless substance, in order to monitor my intake. You dissolve crystal salts and powder-based nutritions in my water. I can feel it running through my veins and inflating my organs. You learned to manipulate my genetics. Over time you made me stronger, bigger, sweeter, and juicier. About 100 years ago, in Western USA, you made a magical breakthrough and engineered a new life. You turned the shape of my fruit into an almost perfect box. Since then, you call me California Wonder.
But I still imagine that technology will be and must be part of our futures. But I think it's something to uncover. How could we use it different? For example, with this carpet and this project that we developed here in A4, part of our residency program, it's a lot about how care works today in agriculture. So there is this imagination of old grannies in the countryside growing their vegetables and going to the market and sell it. This is something that's unrealistic in a bigger scale. And then people kind of afraid of these greenhouse infrastructures that this connection, this care is lost. on one hand, it is true. There is way less human interaction between the plant. Like there's way less interaction between plants and human. But it's simply the way we care for plants changed. So the greenhouse is full of sensors and insects that are installed there in order to care for the plant. And what humans do, humans care for the insect and humans care for the sensors. So this kind of care shifted and it took another turn. The sensors help the plant, there are machines that water the pump, there are pumping systems that water the plants, and sensors are measuring the temperature and the humidity, if it's reaching a different level, windows, fans open. So it's kind of all automated. But then these sensors and these machines, they break down. So there is a group of people who then care for these sensors. So I think there is this interesting chain of command that shifted.
It's a alternative new nature which is growing out of these greenhouses, and it's not artificial at all. I think that what we want to bring as a show with this carpet, that this greenhouse infrastructures, this industry creates a new. It alters the existing nature into something new. We create new types of nature. For example, there is in this greenhouse we visited now multiple times. There is a migratory bird living in the greenhouse now, which is usually during the winter times migrating to Africa, spending the winter there. But because of the greenhouse and its constant temperature of around 30 degrees, the bird decided not to go to Africa anymore, but moved into this greenhouse and stays the winter here because it can find plenty of food and insects. So it also helps the farmer because it catches the flies and bugs in the greenhouse. And then you can, if you look closely on this greenhouse aluminium or steel beam structures, they built their nests there now and raised the new population of birds.
You consider me an annual plant because you only need me for a single year. You both know that I could live much longer. You expect me to grow new flowers and fruits, to stretch my body until I reach the gable of your greenhouse, and within just a year, I am able to fulfill this prediction. After that, I'll be useless to you. You stop the care and shut off the system with a single click. You reboot this engineered environment, and together we enter a newly constructed limbo once again. Maybe this time you will listen to me more carefully.
In the greenhouses, after 1 year, they compost them. They kind of roll up a carpet, drop all the plants from the sides of the greenhouses, make a gigantic kind of spiral, and compost the plants. And we were very interested in that. What if greenhouses wouldn't, they would survive the winter because the plants could. It's just simply the production drops. So then they wouldn't produce as much bell pepper in the second year, so it doesn't make sense for them to keep that. So that's something I'm interested in. What if we would have a greenhouse that could live for 50 years? Because these plants could survive for 50 years if we would care for them. So kind of these thought experiments. We are interested in another one is that paprika these bell pepper plants could grow endlessly high, but the greenhouse has a limitation for them. So I'm also very excited. What if we would change the shapes of the greenhouses, or there would be these trees? They could develop into trees, endlessly high trees. And what would that change our relationship to the plants?